summon the desperate strength of life's last moments, a great wall of speech is hurled against your heart again and again. A fist beats against the wall of your heart relentlessly until you are broken-hearted and confess to your great crime. You are a human being, guilty of every crime imaginable. Your heart is cracking through its shell to be reborn. Then a chill grips you. The gate between heaven and earth has suddenly begun to close. The multitude has swollen. It is almost as if the great hall has magically expanded to include an infinity of desperate souls. This is your last chance. Everyone has run out of time. Every heart has broken. The gate clangs shut. The great horn sounds one last time. You feel curiously light-hearted and clean. Some days later, you find yourself building a house, a curious house, an incomplete house, a house that suggests the idea of a house without actually being one. This house has no roof. There are a few twigs and branches on top, but you can see the stars and feel the wind through them. And the walls of this house don't go all the way around it either. Yet as you sit in this house eating the bounty of the earth, you feel a deep sense of security and joy. Here in this mere idea of a house, you finally feel as if you are home. The journey is over. At precisely this moment, the journey begins again. The curious house is dismantled. The king calls you in for a last intimate meal, and then you set out on your way again. This may all sound like a dream, a nightmare, and it is. It is a deep dream of human existence. It is also a description of the round of Jewish rituals that are observed every year between midsummer and mid-fall, roughly early August to mid-October, although this varies slightly from year to year. It is a gesture-by-gesture description of the stages of the days of awe, each one constituting a passage in this ancient journey of transformation. Tisha B'Av, the day of mourning for the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem, the day of the crumbling of the great walls. Elul, the last month of the year, when the great horn of remembrance is sounded to begin the month of introspection that precedes the days of awe. Shlichot, the last week of fervent prayer that precedes Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah itself, the head of the year, the day of remembrance, the day of the 100 blasts and the 2 books. The 10 days of Teshuvah, the days of awe proper, the period of intense spiritual transformation that begins with Rosh Hashanah and ends with Yom Kippur, 10 days fraught with meaning and dread. Kol Nidre, the eve of Yom Kippur, when the great court is convened above and below. Yom Kippur itself, the Day of Atonement, the day we rehearse our own death, the day that comes to a close with the clanging shut of the great gates. And finally, Sukkot, a joyous coda to the journey, the autumnal harvest festival during which we build and inhabit the sukkah, a booth, the barest outline of a house. R. Buckminster Fuller's students once asked him to name the most important figure of the 20th century. Sigmund Freud, he said without a moment's hesitation. They were shocked. Why Freud? Why not Einstein, about whom Fuller had written extensively, or some other figure from the world of science or economics or architecture to which he had devoted his considerable energy? So Fuller explained himself. Sigmund Freud, he said, was the one who had introduced the single great idea upon which all the significant developments of the 20th century had rested. The invisible is more important than the visible. You would never have had Einstein if Freud hadn't convinced the world of this first. You would never have had nuclear physics. For all Freud's animus against Judaism, his idea was an extremely Jewish one. In fact, it may not be too much to suggest that it is the Jewish idea. Judaism